The rain poured relentlessly, soaking the torn edges of his coat as he sat on the cold bench. His fingers, calloused from years of hardship, clenched around a half-eaten sandwich, his only meal for the day. The city bustled around him, indifferent to his presence. People passed, eyes flicking toward him with pity, disgust, or worse, nothing at all. "Get a job, loser," a man sneered as he walked past, his expensive shoes clicking against the wet pavement. His companions laughed, a cruel chorus that echoed through the alley. The man on the bench, known to most as Ethan, a nameless drifter in the city's eyes, said nothing. He had learned long ago that words meant little when you had no power. But power, he knew, was something he had more of than they could ever imagine. Because Ethan wasn't just another homeless man. He was the heir to a fortune so vast it could buy the very city that ignored him. But he hadn't always known that. The truth had been buried hidden from him by the one person he thought he could trust, his mother. And now he finally knew everything. The lie that built a life. Ethan had spent most of his childhood in the foster system, shuffled between homes that saw him as nothing more than a monthly check. His mother, he had been told, had abandoned him at birth. That was all he had ever known until the letter arrived. It was delivered by a man in a pristine suit, his face unreadable as he handed Ethan the envelope. The paper inside was thick, expensive, and bore an unfamiliar crest. But it wasn't the paper that made Ethan's hands tremble. It was the words, "Ethan, I never left you. I was forced to." The letter, unsigned, detailed a story so unbelievable that he read it 3 times before he could even breathe. His mother had never abandoned him, she had been hiding him, protecting him from forces that would have used him as a pawn, forces tied to his father's empire, a billion-dollar conglomerate built on secrets and lies. But the letter didn't answer everything. It didn't explain why he had been left to suffer while the world carried on without him. It didn't tell him who was truly behind it all. And so, Ethan did what he had always done. He survived. He grew. And he waited. The billionaire in rags. Tonight, he sat outside a restaurant where the city's elite gathered, his presence an unspoken stain on their polished world. The same group from earlier, men in tailored suits, women dripping in diamonds, had taken a seat near the window, laughing, drinking, oblivious. "Did you see that guy out there?" One of the men chuckled, swirling his whiskey. "Probably hasn't showered in weeks." "Disgusting," a woman scoffed, wrinkling her nose. "Why do they let people like that even stay in this part of town?" Ethan smirked to himself. They had no idea. No idea that he could buy this restaurant 100 times over. No idea that his fortune, locked away under an assumed identity, was larger than any of theirs. No idea that by tomorrow, he would own everything they held dear. Unraveling the mystery. The deeper Ethan had dug into his past, the more secrets he uncovered. His mother, once a quiet woman hidden in the shadows, had been the true mastermind behind the empire his father had left behind. She had orchestrated deals, controlled silent partnerships, yet she had never stepped into the limelight. And for a good reason. There were people who didn't want her, or Ethan, to exist. Ethan had spent years tracking them down, putting together the missing pieces. Now, he had the final puzzle piece. A bank account, under a name no one had questioned, one that held enough wealth to shake the financial world. His inheritance. But the real surprise. The people who had mocked him tonight, the ones who looked down on him as if he were dirt, were directly tied to the conspiracy. The reckoning. As the night deepened, Ethan made a call. One simple command. By morning, the restaurant's ownership would change. By next week, the businesses these people relied on would crumble. And in a month, their family names would be whispers of what once was. He didn't need revenge. He just needed the truth. And now that he had it, the world would finally see who Ethan really was. But just as he was about to leave, his phone buzzed. A message. You're close, but not close enough. You're not the only one with secrets. Ethan stared at the screen, heart pounding. The game wasn't over. It was only just beginning.